It was the early 1900s. The Philippines was at a crossroads. We were saying goodbye to our former Spanish masters and welcoming a new American superpower to the Philippines. But the town of Baliwag, Bulacan, once a battleground between Filipino and American soldiers, seemed kind of oblivious to all of these changes. Its townspeople were busy making and selling petacas cigar cases, buntal hats, sillas de verrucos, and tapestry. The Phil-American War was just a blip in the lives of these proud people who had a natural talent for commerce and industry. Which is why at the end of the century, Baliwag was considered to be one of the most progressive and affluent towns of Bulacan. But as with most towns, where there are landed entrepreneurial rich, of course, there are the not so rich. So, in 1915, Salud Pineda Santos was born. Sally's life story begins like it was taken out of the pages of a script of a Mexican telenovela. A happy family life, shattered by the loss of a mother. Her father remarried while she and her siblings were taken under the wing of a taskmistress, of a grandmother, and an uncle who was obsessed with the retail and manufacture of hats. One day after school, though, in her youth, Sally fancied a snack. She wanted 2 sweet bananas, which cost 6 centavos to her. But all the poor girl had in her pocket was 5 centavos. A centavo short from enjoying her favorite snack. So while her classmates enjoyed merienda, Salud had none. I know, it sounds kind of melodramatic, but I'm telling you, for a young kid, things like this are very serious. Those bananas meant the world to her, and that moment of want, it gave her the dogged determination to strive so she could afford the good things in life.
God, I'll never be hungry again.
For one thing, Sally wanted to pursue her dreams of becoming a high school principal and studying at the nearby University of Manila. But how can one afford the good life by being a school teacher? But in those days, priorities were different. There were no gadgets to buy. There were no designer goods to covet. Kids had to help augment their family income while wrestling with demands of school. So it wasn't about the latest phone or designer bag. It was all about education, education, education. It was such a big thing back then, so much so that anything and everything collegiate was celebrated in Hollywood movies and jazz music. Then the Depression happened. Sales at the hat store dropped to 0. The store was in parlous straits as Uncle Manuel Pineda had spent the earnings in a losing attempt at local politics. And it was at that precise moment that the family developed an aversion to politics, which is why until today, you will never see a Tesoro in politics. No offense to anybody here today who's in politics. But being 3 years in rental arrears, Uncle Manuel was very persuasive, telling the eldest, Sally, that tending the Pineda hat store was a moral obligation and that education must now take a back seat. So at 14, Sally left school to devote all of her attention to retail life in Calle Real and Intramuros, and gave up her dreams of a higher education. But foregoing a college education did not dampen Sally's spirit. What she did not learn from a college lecture, she learned from experience and from the school of hard knocks. Success, after all, is not measured by a college degree alone. I mean, check out people like Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, David Geffen, or Richard Branson. None of them have a college degree. But even then, Sally's initial foray into business and retail was no bed of roses. Just when the reins of the store were handed to her, workers shifted loyalties. Instead of new hat sales, customers now wanted their old hats repaired, and there were hardly any customers. But it did not bring Sally down. She managed to steer the business through difficult times. She was busy learning the ropes of the family business from her grandmother, Gregoria, and her doting Uncle Manuelin. She mastered weaving. She tended the store. She accounted store earnings every day. With Sally's help, the Pineda hat store recovered and grew with the help of her two young sisters. And in a few years, they were finally up to date with their rent. But of course, there's time for love. Dating as we know it was a completely alien concept. There was no internet, there was no Tinder. There was only this thing called courtship and courting, with only one goal: marriage. But the thing with courtship is that family approval was a big thing about it. If you did not get the thumbs up from the family, the whole relationship was doomed to fail. And even in the Pineda store took up most of Sally's time, and love was blooming right at the storefront. While Sally had here and there a young law student from Batangas named Tesoro would pass by to catch a glimpse of this attractive and diligent muse. So Nestor pursued Sally, finding time to help her out at the store while occupied with his lessons at law school. But this law school was taking him longer than usual, and it was taking him longer to finish his studies, and he was actually mulling the idea of quitting. So he left and went home to Batangas. But Sally would have none of his pessimism. She rescued her poor Nestor from the bad vibes and brings him back to Manila so he can continue his pursuit of law. And after 9 years of courtship, yes, you heard me, 9 years of courtship without a kiss. This is pre-war. Nestor and Sally finally got married in 1939. Even then, these were trying times. But it was even in war, which was coming soon. The business was as usual at the Pineda hat store, even if it meant shuttling between the city of Manila and Bulacan. The Tesoro couple, before the Battle of Manila, before the war ended, sought refuge in Bulacan upon the suggestion of a Japanese pastor. But even then, as the war was raging, both Japanese and Americans would come at different times, of course, to patronize the hat store in Intramuros because they knew that it had the best deals and merchandise. The war devastated Manila, but not the dreams and ambitions of Sally. Because in those days, hats were like cell phones. The cell phones that we have today, everybody had to have a hat. Filipinos and foreigners alike purchased straw hats from the Pineda hat store to protect themselves from the tropical sun as they walked place to place in Manila. Because back then, cars were still considered to be a luxury. Others would also come by for what was called a compostura, a service where an old hat was given a new lease on life. New hats cost between 12 pesos to 50 pesos. Quite a handsome sum at those days. And the store kept Sally busy. And Intramuros, the walled city of Manila, provided quite a distraction for an intelligent, industrious girl with bigger dreams. It was in Sally and Nestor's first years together that the seed of an idea began to germinate. Sally was seriously thinking about striking it out on her own, but had to wait because the winds of war were starting to blow our way. But even then, like a phoenix rising out of the ashes, Sally makes sense of the chaos by focusing on the strengths of the business, their hats. But Sally would take it even a step further. She mustered enough courage to ask her Uncle Manuel for his blessing to open her own store. Her Uncle Manuel granted her wish and even bestowed upon her machines to help her along. Then Sally would also diversify into other Philippine treasures like handbags. And she started her own Sally's Gift Shop on what was once Manila's most important shopping district, the Avenida Rizal. Business was so good that the little gift shop soon outgrew its small space. And as Nestor pursued a promising career as a lawyer for the Bureau of Immigration, Sally began to dream bigger, eyeing this property on a place called Escolta for her store. Sally struck a deal with her husband Nestor. She said, and she explained, that this surplus income that we get from the store is earned in such a short time. So even if I lose that money, we can recoup it eventually. So if this risk pays off, well and good. And if it doesn't, well, Sally was willing to fall back to being a dutiful wife of a civil servant of the Philippines. But Nestor knew Sally had a good business instinct, and so he agreed to give it a shot. That location in Escolta, by some lucky coincidence, also was owned, turns out, by a good friend of theirs and a neighbor in Intramuros. He was willing to enter into an easy installment plan with a 1,000 peso down payment with a balance paid on a pay-as-you-can basis. So sensing a good deal, Sally immediately clinched the offers, and the first Tesoros on Escolta was born. Tesoros was now to be a purveyor of all Philippine treasures, which is very appropriate because the word Tesoros actually means treasures in Spanish. And that store in Escolta carried their signature hats and handbags, but also expanded to include barongs, table linen, apparel, and just about everything Filipino. Sally was passionate about working at the store. As they started a family, she managed to balance the demands of retailing with that of motherhood and a family life. Nestor took a while to join Sally's side, often teased by the wife that whatever he earned the Bureau of Immigration in a month, the store could make in one day. Eventually, Nestor would join Sally in the store, and they performed distinct but complementary roles at TESOROS. He was the wise counsel and keeper of the funds, while she was the user and initiator. So there's no surprise that Sally worked hard. It was really in her nature. Nestor would always tell the children, look at your mother, working as if she needs to eat 12 times a day. But let her, she's good at it. And because of that, none of you will ever be hungry. And all their hard work started to pay off. The Escolta stores soon branched out to places like Mabini, Makati, airports, hotels, reaching and expanding their clientele base. Sally's eye for Filipino goods continued to evolve, searching every nook and cranny of the country for new merchandise to offer at the store. Not to mention that, good word of mouth from society influencers also went around. You wanted the best hand-broidered piña? The best Capiz shell tableware? You're looking for piña, balongs, and ternos? You get it at Tesoros. Even all the business community and government recognized all of Salud's hard work, bestowing upon her awards, finding her an inspiration to Filipino entrepreneurs from all walks of life. So, as Tesoro celebrates its 70th year in business, and nearly 100 years since Sally gave up her dreams of becoming a high school principal and devoting herself to becoming a trusted shopkeeper at her uncle's store at the age of 14. Why has Tesoros endured? It's because Tesoros has resolved to perpetuate Salud's legacy of creating pioneering contributions to the Philippine handicraft retail industry, inspired by her brilliance, grit, guts, and energy. But Salud was also more than just a formidable business titan. She was also a matriarch to her children and her family of employees, and a good friend to all of her loyal customers that became close to her. So it's these treasured stories that bring Salud to life. To everyone gathered here today, and getting to know her beyond her achievements connects us to her humanity and spirit, and continues to inspire the company as it makes real the claim of Tesoros as being the truly Philippine store. Thank you. So now, as we have the evening, I would like to introduce my tita, Alice Tesoro Guerrero, the eldest and chairman of the Tesoro stores, to make closing remarks.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed our show and celebration tonight. Before we call it a night, allow us to express our deepest thanks to all of you for joining us in celebrating our mother's legacy. We know that from where she is, Mommy is very happy to see all her dearest friends together here tonight, for she was truly an extraordinary woman. We also thank you for your continued support for Tesoros. It brings us joy to see the children of our Mommy's friends visiting our shop, keeping the Tesoros name alive through the generations. As we prepare for the 70th anniversary in October, in the coming months, please keep an eye out for the activities and programs we have lined up to promote greater interest in Filipino handicrafts, as well as in the artists and craftsmen behind them. We trust that you will support our endeavor. In conclusion, we hope that by sharing with you the story of our mother and the success of her Tesoro handicraft business, we have sparked in you a greater belief in the great Filipino values of hard work, discipline, and artistry. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening.